So right now I am coming to you. I'm in parent mode, and maybe I'm gonna be rambling a bit, but I'm gonna try and make my message clear. I was just having a conversation with a friend, a gentleman who is a parent, and in talking we went on this whole conversation about parenting and the generation that our generation are parenting. And of course, we're going to go back to old school, how we were brought up and the values that we were taught and what we have tried to pass on to our children. And I think we hit on some topics, one of which was how grateful we were to our parents, although they didn't have much. Many of us who grew up in situations, well, I'm from Jamaica, and so is my friend. We knew our parents, we saw their struggles, and we saw how hard they worked at making sure that we had a better life than they did. And it still remained a struggle. Many of us were able to complete secondary education, and some of us were able to go to tertiary studies. Some of us did it on our own, like I know I did, and some of us had parents who were able to afford us those opportunities. But then we have raised a generation who we have tried our best, just as our parents did, to be better at parenting than the generations before. But I think there was something that we did, and I don't know if I want to say we did it wrong or we tried, because we know that parenting doesn't come with a manual. There's no class. Yes, nowadays they have parenting class. I don't know how successful those classes are, but parenting is intuitive for the most part. You can learn some of the skills, but I would say much of it is intuitive. And so we are trying to give our children a better life. And I think in doing so, and in trying to afford them some opportunities that we were not able to get because our parents just did not have the means in which to do so, we have somewhat created a generation that feels entitled. And I know of many instances where children, young people, are not appreciative of their parents because they felt that they did not give them enough. And sometimes that enough comes in the form of maybe they don't think they got enough attention, they don't think they got enough in terms of material things. And there's a lot of blame for those of us who made sacrifices. The migration strain has taken its toll on many of us who decide to move into foreign spaces in order to provide our children with a better life. And very often, some of us who moved here probably would have survived the spaces that we emigrated from, but because we saw where our children needed a future that where we were coming from would not so easily provide those opportunities, we moved into foreign spaces, North America, Europe, and all the other spaces that people generally migrate to. Anyway, I see where we have sometimes done them a disservice. I know of parents who, their kids have been really grateful for them. And then I know of those whose children constantly blame them for things not working out. Many of us coming to these spaces and our marriages never work, and we often find ourselves struggling. We have to deal with the mental impact of that. We have to deal with the psychological, we have to deal with the financial impact sometimes of breakups, of marriages breaking up, and we know that children suffer. Children always suffer. Everybody suffers when a marriage ends. everybody suffers. The people in the relationship, the children, everybody suffers. So it's not like a marriage ends and the parents can move on about their business and the children are the only ones that suffer. Everybody suffers. So as our conversation took the various turns, we talked about how we probably could have handled things differently. There are some children who are very grateful, and I know parents, I know some of my friends have children who are so grateful. And I keep, we hear like, oh, they're going to change as they get older, as they mature. We hope. Right now, I know a person, a woman who lost her son recently, and I see the grief that it has caused her. And I don't care how our children are with us. If you lose a child, I cannot even imagine. It must be one of the most horrific experiences a parent could have to lose a child. And I have 2 close friends who have lost children. And so, we are trying our best. This generation, I think they call them Generation Z, they don't get it sometimes. They don't get the sacrifices we've had to make. They don't get the many nights we go to our beds, maybe bawling. They don't get the sleepless nights that many of us go through. They don't get how we have to rearrange our lives and adjust and adapt in situations that sometimes are not easy. They don't know some of the strains and the issues that we go through. I wish I could pull my mother up from the grave and look her in the eyes and say to her, thank you, Mama. Thank you for all the lessons you've taught me. Thank you for trying. Even when you didn't have anything for yourself, you made sure that we had it, whatever it is that you could provide. Thank you for the many days that you made the sacrifice and make sure we went to school with very little. Thank you for working some of the jobs you worked, taking some of the abuse that you had to take, especially when you worked in somebody's home as a housekeeper. I just want to say to her, Mama, thank you. And if at any point in time I did not show my appreciation for you, it may be a little late right now because you've passed from this dimension, I would love to say thank you. I'd love to say thank you for some of the beatings. Thanks for some of the shouts. Thank you for some of the punishments, the way you reprimanded me, because it has built in me a stronger person and someone who appreciates what it meant to raise children. I mean, this generation, I love my children, my nieces, all the people who are part of my life from this generation. But I'm telling you, sometimes y'all, you don't get it. And I surely hope that the comfort that I may feel one day by somewhat having the expression of appreciation directed at me, I hope that will come. And if it never comes, I'm just going to have to live with the reality that the children of this generation, many of them do not understand what it means to be a parent who has to make sacrifices and struggle to make sure that their lives are better. And yes, we may not get it right. We may muck up. We may make some poor decisions. But I don't know any parent who willingly makes poor decisions. I don't know any. Maybe there are some. And I know for sure that among my peers, among my contemporaries, we all do our best. We try. Like I said, those of us who have immigrated to different spaces, we have to deal with a lot. The trying to assimilate in a culture that sometimes doesn't even favor us, right? And having to deal with systems and institutions that present so many barriers for us to do well, to succeed in the many ways that we came here hoping to find success. So, I could go on, but, this conversation I had with my friend today really sparked in me just this need to say that We're trying our best, and as a parent, I want to applaud you. I want to big you up, because I know many of us truly try. Without any instructions, directions, manuals, we truly try. So I want to say shout out to all the parents who've tried, and the ones who've had grateful children. I'm happy for you. And those who don't have children, who have expressed gratitude for all the efforts, I pray that one day they will come to the realization that all you were doing was your best. And that's all we could give. And many of us continue to give and do our best. So shout out to you. Big up yourself.